We are broken. MMO players have been referred to as abused dogs, always looking for love in a new MMO, only to be beaten down by the new flavor of the month. Kanoodle Gaming has talked about this, and I wanted to talk about it and what it means to us as a community of MMO gamer gods, what World of Warcraft has done to literally reshape our brains and set a precedent in the MMO industry, to focus on extrinsic rewards to make the gameplay fun instead of intrinsic rewards, which is extracting fun from the gameplay itself, not the end result. World of Warcraft is one of the major offenders of this, and because of their massive size and amount of money, investors, researchers that they have, just all for pure profit motives, have shifted everything in their game to focus on doing what Rich, Asmund, Bellular, and everyone talks about very frequently, is maximizing player retention, bleeding the player for the maximum amount of money, for the minimal amount of effort, and the minimal amount of content. They want to make sure you are there for the most amount of time and that you do not leave the game for any reason whatsoever. You basically need to live in the game. Try to entice you in with shiny object. Look, ooh, you get a bonus if you buy the 6-month subscription. In fact, they even advertise the subscription price at the 6-month point. Say, oh, it's $16.34, but it's only $16.34 if you buy the 6 month. Final Fantasy, Yoshi P seems to have cracked the code, as it were. Yoshi P has managed to figure out what was honestly, from an outside perspective, and really to us as players, obvious. Focus on making a good game. A game where people can have fun and enjoy themselves, just existing in your world. Not trying to please investors, trying to please players who enjoy your game so much that a literal saying has been developed where you either die and quit the game in a realm reborn or go on long enough to become a walking advertisement for Final Fantasy XIV. When joining the Final Fantasy community, I learned how to slow it down, take my time and smell the roses, enjoy the little things, reading the story and comprehending it, taking my time doing it slowly, enjoying the dungeon mechanics because they were new, the scenery was new, the world was new, and taking my time to absorb it. When you take your time and enjoy the small details and the love and care that was put into this game, you will have a far better time, and I can promise you that. Hell, there are parts of this game I haven't even touched that people are spending hours doing. For example, I haven't even touched crafting. I'm going to be going there soon, but I have had almost 30 days of in-game time without even touching it, and yet some people seem to have an insane amount of fun doing it. And my buddy I've been re-enjoying the beginning of the game with has even started crafting before me, and he's having a good time doing it. Final Fantasy uses the ability to go through a single-player RPG-style story where the player can enjoy your content alone, with friends, or with a giant guild. It doesn't matter, and that's where it does it perfect. A low barrier to entry and a low barrier to have fun. You can have fun just sitting there, vibing, taking photos with the boys, or running hardcore, savage, and ultimate raids and extremes. There is something there for every kind of player. There is cool tools in every manner to have a great time playing this game. World of Warcraft, on the other hand, wants you to blast through the story. Ignore the previous 10 years of honestly pretty great story, because if you're a new player, you're going to be coming into this game without the ability to use Chromie and Time Walk. You will be thrown into Battle for Azeroth, and then once you hit the high enough level, you will be forced into Shadowlands. And honestly, Battle for Azeroth and Shadowlands have been a very, very subpar expansion content-wise and even raid-wise, which is the very little bit of content that does exist for players who still play. And even the raiding community, the high-tier players, have left to go play Final Fantasy. There are very few people who did remain who still had ties to the game, whether it be through their YouTube shilling or whatever. They still have said that the Sylvanas fight is subpar and boring, and it doesn't even come close to even Denathrius, who was a much better fight, but still, the game has been kind of a snooze fest, even for the hardcore players. They're running this content, and I don't even think they're enjoying it, if I'm being honest. They're honestly just afraid to move on because of that whole beaten dog aesthetic where they just can't trust to have fun anywhere else because the game that they've poured their souls into has let them down. It doesn't help that when the players talk to the developers in World of Warcraft, they get something of a response akin to, I'm the developer, I went to school for design, I have the data, I know more than you, you guys are stupid, you don't understand what you're talking about, you're just a bunch of loud, angry, toxic trolls. And the community receiving a sentiment like this doesn't bode well for engagement and trust between the players and the developers. The developers for World of Warcraft have something that I understand very much as a designer. It's an attachment to your design, to your creation. You feel as if you are being personally insulted when you hear something negative about something that you put a lot of hard work in, because I'm not going to deny that these devs have in fact been putting crunch time in and working their asses off. It's not their fault that they are subject to the limitations and the horrible decision-making of investors who don't see anything other than what the correct mathematical steps to maximize profit are. And they're just going based off data. These are old men who don't understand this game and don't understand gamers, who sit in a board of directors and look at data that's given to them by a data analyst whose job is to just say, these trends are what maximize profit. If we do these trends and go in this direction, we will absolutely make the most amount of money. These men hear this and just say, okay, do that. And developers come and say, hey, if we make the game good and we do what we need to do to make everyone have a good time, the community's making some pretty valid points if they're willing to admit it. And maybe they might be able to save some of the respect that we have towards them and maybe win some of us back and get some of us to start enjoying World of Warcraft again. But the investors don't see anything more than spreadsheets, and spreadsheets know better than a bunch of us degenerate, fat, idiot gamers who don't know what we're talking about. When a Final Fantasy player, the bigger ones, the smaller ones, and those in between, speak to a Final Fantasy developer, whether it be the smaller community members and managers, or it be Yoshi P himself in the time that he set 38 hours of interviews aside to talk to content creators who have not only put an insane amount of time into the game themselves, but they've also gathered the thoughts and the collective opinions of those of their communities, which they engage with a very large percentage of the player base, and brought their collective knowledge and opinions to a nice and solid place for the developers to see, speak with, and understand. And that kind of back and forth just ends up making a better experience for everyone. We know what's coming in a way, and the developers trust us because we're still here and we're still having a great time. So they know that we're not just spitting this stuff out of vitriol like they think that we're doing for World of Warcraft. We are singing their praises and asking for small things to make the thing that we're already enjoying so fucking much even more. Honestly, any good marketing or advertising agency will tell you all the same things. If you want to make money and succeed and grow a strong and powerful brand that people love and adore, you are not looking to build a product. You are not looking to build a service. You are looking to build a community. Somebody who will love you, respect you, and engage with you for a love of something you shared together or something else. A community is the key, because having fans is good. Having true fans is better. People who are there and will genuinely love you. And the more true, genuine fans you can gain, the more success you will have. And that's what Final Fantasy does. It lets the players do things that create a community. Sitting down and taking pictures with the boys is an interaction I'm having with players. This is a interaction I'm having a fun time with other players. And if I'm having a fun time with other players in-game that's communicating, I'm more than likely going to talk about the aspects of the game that I love because I'm having a good time, and I'd like to... people enjoy talking to each other about the things that they have shared love for, that bounce things off of each other. It makes everything more enjoyable for everyone. And I think that the Final Fantasy developers have done this in a fantastic way. They have given us respect that we deserve, and they will always receive the respect of us. This universal love and respect that both we, the players, and the developers have for this game, it's plain for everyone to see. It's very obvious that with Final Fantasy thriving and World of Warcraft struggling to bleed the few remaining players who are huffing on their copium all day, it's just obvious for us who have cleared our heads and moved forward in search of greener pastures. World of Warcraft will continue to do whatever it is that their board of directors decide to either do, bleeding the game out to its very end and squeezing the last bit of life out of it and the last bit of money out of it, to milk it for every last dollar and put the game to what they might consider a dying game to rest, and something that is far beyond the reaches of saving might not be worth the investment to fix. I hope that they take their time to fix it, and they rebuild their game and try to regain our respect as a community. I can tell that they are trying, but honestly, still from our perspective as a community, it still seems like a vain attempt to trick us back in, because we don't trust them yet. They're gonna have to do a lot of work, and these very small superficial changes aren't going to get our love back, our trust, our respect. But I'm still always going to hope for it. I would love for World of Warcraft to be a success again, because it will push Final Fantasy further, and Final Fantasy will push WoW further. That's what I want, these games to push each other to their utmost maximum success. I hope they do. I really do. But if they don't, I'll be hanging out in Limsa Laminsa, vibing out with the cat girls. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to drop a comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Why don't you tell me, do you think that WoW can regain our respect? Do you think WoW is salvageable? Do you think that it can come back? Or do you think that the board of directors are going to cut their losses and snuff the game out for good? Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for watching the videos. Honestly, I'm just so happy with the success that I've had, the sudden influx of people who've been coming to watch all my Final Fantasy content. It's been fantastic, and I really hope that you guys continue to hang out, join in the Discord. We're trying to build a huge community, and for all games, anything that you would like to play, and I hope that you will come in and join and build a happy, solid, and fun community of people who love games, because that's what I want to do. Thanks again, guys. Have a good one. Don't forget to drop over on the Twitch stream. We sometimes stream some Valorant. We sometimes stream Final Fantasy. It's a mixed bag. You'll never know what you're going to get. So follow me on Twitter. That's the best way to know when I'm going live or getting the notifications in the Discord. Have a good one, boys. Thank you for dropping in. Thank you for subscribing. And thank you for viewing my videos and giving me a chance to tell you guys my opinions about this game that I have honestly and genuinely come to adore with my entire heart.